Me buy a cromfo and I'm a tuna song. What you say was some before I'm a tuna song.
Sashin sushi.
When I do sashin sushi.
Papa.
The impression we had was that somebody had probably held the child by the feet and slammed the head against the wall a few times. So there were broken bones. A lot of the bones in the head were very, very badly broken.
In this documentary, I'm taking you through harrowing stories of child abuse perpetrated sometimes by biological parents. Ghana's Children's Act of 1998, Act 560, stipulates no person shall subject a child to torture or other cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment. There are other fine provisions in Ghana's statute books which spell out ideal ways and the right environment to raise children in. The big question, however, is, do these laws really protect children in a society where they do not have a voice at all? Three years ago, Junior was born to a teenage mother and a young man in his early 20s at Kwangoma in the Achuma-Kwangoma district on the periphery of Kumasi. His story and those of others in the Ashanti region perhaps measure how much premium some Ghanaians place on the protection of children, undoubtedly the future of this country. Junior's father traveled to Nigeria in search of greener pastures where the baby was still breastfeeding. He had instructed the teenage mother to hand baby Junior over to a couple, Nana and Rita Uti, who worked as undertakers at North Centreso in Kumasi.
Boy in be free Ghana, I call Nigeria. That I'm not going 8 months. So I no ma me call no more na ya ba me ti me call bo mo nema. It's a 1 year 1 month no. It's me call no more frame me say membra na ye nwumre. It's me call no mo say Nana ya ne menka hwe na me so de bi no say omo gi akwala no tie na me o akwala no so that time na me breastfeed no ontwa no for nti no nya de a metime de akwala no e de na mo no say nya de a mo be ma me de akwala no de na kofie Nana ya no mo ne naka nti omo ne me kan ya twen ya mo amama fa akwala na nko so ma me stay on mo 1 week.
Physical abuse of 2-year-old Junior came to our attention when Nana and Rita rushed him to the Komfanoti Teaching Hospital with a deteriorating wound on the left arm. Nana and his wife claimed the child had been hurt and dumped on them by her biological mother. The story sounded unconvincing to health authorities, who got them arrested.
Na krana da na ye den tumago achichire ne nsa a emuja afo ama awo itimi na msi Junior sorry bra o ma me ne intima sister ne no ka che ne say me ma me de onim no intino enya de a obema kwa ma ye de akola nako na ma me ase ne se nti ne ba ne me na ne nana nso ne akola intimi fra akola na akola hwe ma me nanim na obehwe me nima sorry say o ba hwe ma me nanim ano akaniti a 20 ya na akra na e bae nti o bae na ne nsa na ehwe na afone moja ene ntoma agochichire ne nsa.
Close examination of Junior's body revealed marks of suspected physical abuse. Junior was reportedly whipped, slapped, branded a witch. The worst is how he ended up with severe burns to his hand. Eyewitnesses say his supposed guardians used red-hot iron to burn him, though the couple denied this. It was, however, established they applied salt solution to the wound and wrapped it with rags. Doctors had to amputate all 5 damaged fingers to prevent further deterioration. Many a time, inhuman treatment of children like Junior is carefully hidden by the perpetrators, parents, relatives, and guardians. For 7-year-old Adwoa, her body bears a map of torture. She endured months of cruelty from her father, 30-year-old Adwoa, who caged, starved, and beat her with all manner of objects. Kwabena told police he was only instilling discipline in his daughter. Kwabena further says Adwoa is a witch on whose chest sometimes he sees 2 pairs of eyes. The traumatized girl told me her father put her leg on a platform and stepped on it, breaking it.
I am insurance and the journey booming.
Oh, they are born. Can you not say what? Daddy, where all day?
Sure.
Oh no, you're the old women, so I know. Oh no, they are not there.
Oh, the mission, so.
Sir, you should know them.
Clapping.
Sir, what is she mounting for me? I know, sir, you damn you.
I'm not in a situation.
Don't say to him. Sir, there we are.
I traveled to Asiofua Achiase on the Barakese Road, where the abuse occurred. Kwabena's girlfriend and other neighbors have been silent over the persistent abuse until he threatened to kill the girlfriend over money he claimed Adwoa had stolen. The woman's crime was that she had picked the wounded little girl to Suntreso Hospital in Kumasi. Shocked by the extent of harm inflicted on the girl, Dr. Ashura Bakari, a pediatrician at the hospital, alerted police.
But when we look at the child, I realized it wasn't just about writing report. The child was actually not well. The child has sustained injuries. He had swellings on the legs, swelling on the arms, and he had like injuries with the different or various healing stages. That shows whatever had happened to the child didn't happen in one day. Like it was something like there's very fresh wound and there are wounds which are having scars. So I told them that, okay, we will fill the police form, but first we have to look at the child, stabilize the child, then we'll look at the police things. So then we decided to admit the child. Actually, the child looked very small for her age. And then when we did further investigation, we realized the child has multiple fractures. She had fractures of the leg, both legs. She also had fracture on one arm. And those fractures were not new. So this child had fractures. And the thing is that apart from the one who beat the child, after beating the child and have the fracture, nobody thought of bringing that child to the hospital. So like at the back of my mind, I was asking myself, how much pain did this child went through? Because imagine if you yourself, you are grown up, if you had the fracture of your little finger, you'll be screaming. So this child had 3 different areas with fracture, and nobody brought that child to the hospital.
Doctors want to still observe Adwoa's leg to determine the next medical move. She was taken to Kumasi Children's Home for care because the biological mother was not in a position to take her in. Albert Abogo is a social worker.
Along the line, we saw that she had another situation with the leg, that the father had stepped on the leg, got broken and treated the leg at home. And that her crime was that her father accused her of being a witch and was trying to exorcise her by beating her or beating the witchcraft out of her.
You were able to find the biological mother. What part did she play in all this?
She's remarried and she has a young baby. She gave up the chase for her own daughter because she felt that since the two of them are parents to the child can be with either parent. So that's what she told me. So when the matter was referred to the Asoka court, she came once and twice. And each time she has to come, we have to look for financial assistance for her to even come. To even come and attend the case. Her condition was not suitable. We couldn't also release the child to her. So we took the child to the children's home where she's receiving care and protection.
The American Relief Center has taken special interest in her case. Anthony Boatin Bediako is coordinator.
In our view, we feel, given what she's been through, I mean, the abuse, the trauma, and all the hurt she's endured, I mean, she would need to come up, or she would need to grow in a home, you know, with the love of a mother, you know. But then, unfortunately, the mother in question hasn't shown a lot of seriousness. So we don't know how far the social worker could go with it, but then if they could, you know, find a foster family for her, people that are willing to show her the love, people that can, you know, provide for her and assist her.
At the last hearing at the Asokwa Magistrate Court, Kwabena Yeboah confirmed physical abuse of his daughter. He told his worship, Koko Echao Owusu,
I held her legs and dipped her head in a barrel of water for minutes. I bent her fingers on hot coal for stealing meat in the soup. I stepped on her leg and broke it because I did all that to discipline her. She's my child and I disciplined her. This case shouldn't have come to the court. She's my own child. The girl is a bad girl. She's a thief. And I don't know why I did it because she repeated the thievery.
Outside the courtroom, he repeated such confession on camera.
Na woni mi Yesu. Mi Yesu pa. Who video who Yesu Christo demo. Who video me. Who video anta sa. You see who video me Yesu Christo demo. Baba so life mo bi ehun. E di entina me bo akola ne sa. Wo gina obi. Wo di wani hu bi. Na me se wo di wani hu de si ye. Mona mama ni baye kromfo na mo asa ba tena begua fiase mo kan na mo ni baye kromfo me baye kromfo ela me twena so what you say wa sema bufo na me twena so mo na mo ni baye kromfo mo so le a mo se mo na mo buo ni pa ma ni pa eja kro no bo so mo na mo ni baye kro no mo na mo ni pa bo kro no.
Dr. Esmeralda Manful is senior lecturer at the Department of Sociology and Social Work at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. She concludes, after years of study into child abuse, people who are mean to children in such ways may have mental challenges.
Obviously, they are their guidance or carers who are doing that. Because you are talking about very young children. We are not even talking about those in their late teens, but very young children who is their parents and or their carers. And what's happening is that for me, just last year, I was doing this study, and you can realize that I think they have mental health problems, which we don't recognize early. I think as we diagnose people with mental health when it's almost at its let's say late stages. So the early stages, people they look normal and all that, but they are not. But we don't recognize that. You know how our health services is more preventive and reactive than preventive. Sorry, it's more reactive than preventive. So we don't do preventive healthcare. So we see people like, so that's my only conclusion, that how people can be so mean and wicked to children. They have mental health issues, which they haven't recognized themselves.
Ashanti Regional Coordinator of Police Domestic Violence and Victim Support Unit, DSP Benjamin Dokurugu, however, traces child abuse to many other factors.
So the Constitution even holds that children should be given special care, not ordinary care. So that is where I think there is a problem. Some people give birth to children, they think that once you give chop money, that's all. But the law requires more. The law requires more, especially when we find some children being abused in some quarters. Then realize that no. What the Constitution requires us to do, the special care we need to give to the children, is not forthcoming. You know. When we talk about child abuse, I don't normally want to go to strict or stiff definitions. I think that whenever we fail to give children the adequate protection, the adequate care they need, then we are falling into the domain of abuse. You know, you may not maltreat them, but even failing to provide for their basic necessaries of life, health, education, and all those things, we drift into the domain of child abuse.
In April last year, following repeated alarm by neighbors, our news team rescued this 7-year-old girl from Ampame, Patasekese, near Daban in Kumasi. Preliminary investigations revealed a case of physical abuse by the stepmom. Little Belinda said she was persistently beaten with a wooden spatula by the stepmom, who will not allow her to go to school. Together with social worker Godfred Abogo, we went to her father's shop at Daban. Here was the little girl with a deteriorating hand wound smeared with an oily cream. She told us the stepmom had dipped her hand in hot, boiling water.
Mama dem sashin sushi.
Wana do sashin sushi.
Papa ile.
O papa ile. Your friend say?
Me.
Friend say?
Me.
Na then oye ne say no de shin sushi.
O de lemu kese no we no de go tree from.
Na eya omobo.
Ai.
Omo de den na bo.
Benkuta.
O papa ire no kwa na bo na papa nso bo bi.
Me papa ile ne papa no so bo me bi.
Papa no no de den na bo.
Se kind bet.
Oh the bo he.
Me chine meni ase.
Omo do ko school.
Happy.
Kwajo Tufo Boateng and his wife Manis were arrested after we filed a formal complaint with the police. We rescued little Belinda and sought care for her at the Konfanochi Teaching Hospital Emergency Unit. Many child abusers take refuge in spare the rod and spoil the child, but to what extent can you discipline a child? Dr. Esmeranda Manful again.
21st century, let me tell you, the discipline has changed. That being said, we have still some who are doing the extreme ones, burning them and all that. That is a no-no. You see, that's why people can, neighbors report them. Yes. So it's awareness is there. Not to the extent that I think two of us will laugh, but it is there. And we have to keep it. We have to let people know that some form of punishment is wrong.
Do you think that there is a link between tradition, culture, and the abuse we are seeing?
Tradition, culture, and abuse. I think people hide behind that. People hide behind because culture is dynamic. We've changed the way we think. But still we are Ghanaians. Still we do cultural things. But then we have realized that putting your daughter's hand because in hot water or boiling water because stole meat in the soup is wrong. So because maybe the child doesn't have enough food, they're hungry, that's why the child is doing that. It's socially constructed. We construct what we think is right or wrong, and tradition moves on. The way we were in 60 years ago as Ghanaians is different.
The cruelty displayed even to newborn babies also caught our attention. I visited the mother and baby unit of the Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital to speak with renowned pediatrician Dr. Jikwa Planjrul. She tells chilling stories of babies who suffer various heartbreaking abuses, leaving the children with strange multiple fractured skulls.
I remember one very bad incident right on this mother-baby unit. This was a 6-week-old baby. Initially was brought in unconscious. We thought the child had meningitis, which is a brain infection, because the mother told us that she left the baby, went out to hang her clothes or something. When she came back, she realized that the baby had become very weak and she brought the baby in. So we were treating as meningitis, but a couple of things didn't add up. So we decided to do some x-rays. And when we did the x-rays of the head, we found that there were many fractures. I mean, the impression we had was that somebody had probably held the child by the feet and slammed the head against the wall a few times. So there were broken bones. A lot of the bones in the head were very badly broken. Eventually we involved DOFS, who eventually came. It took about 2 weeks to get them to come and see this child. Social welfare was involved. They tried to do a few investigations. They were also hampered by not having transport and all that. Eventually, nothing happened. Fortunately, this child survived, and went home. But no arrests were made, even though there were very strong suspicions that the father was involved. There were, nothing ever happened. No arrests were made, nothing happened. Eventually, the mother took the child home. So, yeah, I mean, these are some of the challenges. I remember another one, also similar, also very young, I think a couple of weeks old. She came in, the mother told us that, initially she told us that she had got into a fight with somebody, a man who was mentally ill, and the man had thrown a stone at her, and it had hit her baby. Again, we believed her initially, but then when we examined the child's head, we realized that, again, there were broken bones on both sides of the head. Now, if somebody throws a stone at you, you'd expect one, but this was clear that, there had been multiple injuries to the child. When we confronted the mother, she ran away. She knew that someone had actually abused the child. She ran away. The child was with us for several months. The brain was completely damaged. And eventually we had to send the child to the Mother Teresa's children's home. She stayed there for about a year, and she died last year. But in the year she stayed, she didn't develop, she never talked, she never walked, she couldn't feed herself. She was just like a vegetable. And again, no prosecutions, no nothing. So there's a lot of child abuse going on.
The Children's Act of 1998, Act 560, stipulates no person shall subject a child to torture or other cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment or punishment, including any cultural practice which dehumanizes or is injurious to the physical and mental well-being of a child. To the contrary, many children have suffered and continue to suffer inhuman treatment, cruelty, extreme corporal punishment, or injurious labor in Ghana. Many of these cases are either underreported or hushed. In many cases, complainants become disinterested. Prosecutors are found wanting due to lack of witnesses, and influential people step in to pay settlements. DSP Dokurugu again.
But sometimes we have a case, you are dealing with it, and it comes to a point, even the complainant or the victim himself or herself is backing off. You give him or her a date, we want to see you, we want to proceed with the case, we want you to come and lead us to. And some will outrightly tell you that, case, no, I'm no longer interested. Some will come and respectfully tell that when we went home, the family members came and spoke to us, and the way they spoke to us, we wouldn't want to pursue the matter any further. And But others will quietly fade away. They just fade from the system. You won't find them. Others will allow you to go through the investigations proper. When you are about to go, when you go to court, the complainant is nowhere to be found. Victim is nowhere to be found. The judge will call the case a few times and they will strike out the case. But sometimes we have a case, you are dealing with it, and it comes to a point, even the complainant or the victim himself or herself is backing off. You give him or her a date, we want to see you, we want to proceed with the case, we want you to come and lead us to. And some will outrightly tell you that, case, no, I'm no longer interested. Some will come and respectfully tell that when we went home, the family members came and spoke to us, and the way they spoke to us, we wouldn't want to pursue the matter any further. But others will quietly fade away. They just fade from the system. You won't find them. Others will allow you to go through the investigations proper. When you are about to go, when you go to court, the complainant is nowhere to be found. Victim is nowhere to be found. The judge will call the case a few times and they will strike out the case.
"11-year-old Priscilla Akoto exudes energy, always beaming with smiles. She had dreams of becoming a nurse. Late October 2015, she went in and out of hospital for treatment of what relatives saw as abnormal pains. With little improvement, after months, doctors at Agogo Hospital detected she had been defiled. Priscilla later told her mother, a staff of the Konongo office of the Ghana Revenue Authority, Charles Kofi Aka, sexually abused her on several occasions.
This is another story of defilement. And this is also tragic because it ended up in death. The victim we are talking about is an 11-year-old girl. Now we are going to trace up there where she plays. This house behind me, and that is where our checks indicate that the suspect in question, one Mr. Aka, who is a internal revenue service manager, lives. So this is where the suspect lives, and this is where our checks indicate that Priscilla Akoto used to stray.
Priscilla was referred to Konfanochi Teaching Hospital. Doctors who saw her said she has fistula, discharging feces through her genitals. She can hardly speak due to complications.